Hey, welcome to 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. We're a father-son leadership podcast where we talk with other lifelong learners about making an impact and solving big problems. And folks, the problems we were talking about in the green room ranged everywhere from AI to Mr. Google to Miss Alexa to big dogs that are hairy and big dogs that are furry. And man, which just means that I'm excited to really get into this. Camden, you know, if you had a big dog that was furry versus a big dog that was hairy, which would be your preference?
You know, I think I'm taking a wild guess here looking at all the dirt in my backyard. I think, you know, along the lines of allergens and whatnot with hair, I'm guessing hair might bring less dirt inside when the dog comes inside. So I'd go hair on that one.
There you go. Yeah. It's tough not to have dirt in your yard when you live in the desert there, son.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I don't think you can afford to water it enough to get grass.
Saving up for a big old truck of rocks, I'll tell you that much.
Well, and speaking of saving, we got the right guy on the show with us. We got our good friend Kirk, and those of you who are watching on YouTube, which I highly recommend because we're all very pleasant to look at and enjoy watching. Kirk, the financial freedom guy, our good buddy joining us, man. Kirk, it's good to finally have you here.
Yeah, Otis, I'm so happy to be with you in Camden. I mean, the more I learn about you guys, the more I love it.
Yeah, it is great, man. So I'm always, the questions I always start off with is always the thing I'm most curious about. And 99.9%, and you fall into that category of the time, it is what got you interested in the whole finance thing? Because I tell you what, for me, it's like, hey, Miss Suzanne, can I buy this? You know, that's the only finance I'm worried about. What got you interested into it as a business?
Yeah, I fell into finance is purely by accident. Where always entrepreneurial, and like in high school, built a lawn business to 1,500 customers, sold it, went to college, out of Army, out of grad school, got married, and then I really didn't have a profession. I didn't know, am I the sales guy, marketing, operations, finance, and it just kind of came to be, right? Where there's something about the number story, where you line it up and look at what a lot of people don't like, the financials, the scoreboard, that kind of stuff. I say, opportunity. Not only can we save money that drops to the bottom line, but how do we make more money? How does the business operate? It's almost as if that financial, the money flowing through the business is like a nervous system. And you can literally, you can see what's healthy, what's not healthy. You can see opportunities. And so I like that aspect of it, kind of like flying a plane kind of thing. So fell into it. It was not grand strategy. I can't say my mom was a school teacher. My dad was a salesman, optical equipment, good down to earth people, good middle class. And, so I can't say I was inspired by my dad was a CFO in a public company and nothing like that. It was just more just seeing what makes sense and kind of from a purpose standpoint, why am I here? Just fell into it.
Could you talk some about what it was that drove you to really get into it? Because I think you talk about like falling into something. A lot of people fall into careers and it's still not their passion. Clearly you have that passion behind the finance. It wasn't just falling into it. You found that passion afterwards. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've come to learn that my purpose is business owners getting financial freedom, and that with freedom, those resources, you get freedom of time, freedom of purpose, and when the business is struggling, one of the beautiful things about the USA is you got private businesses, they grow fast, then all of a sudden the business owner they feel like the wheels are falling off, they don't quite know what's going on, and through like the financial foundation, you can literally bring that business owner to the place they need to be, so that they have the right team around them, where they can delegate to. And then if we build the right instruments and the infrastructure, the team members have a daily dashboard. They know where to proactively take action every day. So Camden, what I'm thinking through your question as I answer it. Can you take me back to the question to make sure?
Yeah, where does that, like, the actual passion come from that kept you around the finance rather than just doing it as a 9 to 5 and then going and, pursuing something else?
Yeah. So it's literally that, because it's the health of the business. So going from, questions like, do we have enough money for payroll next week, where the cash crunch, which is really stressful, to flipping the script where we do have financial resources. Now we're making decisions about how do we invest in our people, how do we invest in our leadership to keep up with the needs of the business. What other investments do we need? Maybe it's client acquisition, maybe it's infrastructure to keep track of things better in the warehouse, whatever it is. And so it's really a need to prosperity, where things are, instead of living in scarcity, where things are week to week, bringing a company to where it's healthy. And even beyond just the financial health, what about the business owner? I mean, so many of us, we think more hours, that's how you get to a successful business. And a lot of times business owners, they lose.
Just work harder, right?
Work harder, work more, get 3 jobs. Business owners have all these hats on. So what about, let's flip the script even bigger. What about the business owner? What's that vivid vision of their future self? What's that destination where they have freedom of purpose, time, and money? Then on the financial side, what is the multi-year financial flight plan to go from here to there? And it starts to get, now we're getting clear. Okay, here's kind of the big steps. And what do we do now, this week, this year? And establishing the habits of profitability, which are basically team members, employees, peers, starting to use the numbers better, right? With a dashboard, they can see if they're over or under, and they can take action. So I have a real need. Boy, survival mode. I've been in the Army, that kind of stuff. I've worked long hours, kind of thing. In survival mode, when I got married, I was literally out of grad school. Went to Venezuela to learn Spanish, and who would have thought I would have met somebody that I married and came back. Seriously, I had $200 in my name. Okay, Kirk. Okay, let's talk about being rational. You got $200 to your name. You don't have a job. You don't even know what job you should be looking for, right? This is before I got into finance. And hey, let's get married, and why not? Let's not wait on making the baby. We'll adapt. So that's what we did. We made Don Fernando, and that's kind of that's it was painful. It's pressure, right? Got to figure out a place to live, and the baby still eats, and that kind of stuff. So there's something about that experience that was painful enough. It was painful. I mean, we can go as far as you want, like not knowing. And I wasn't smart enough to collaborate with people like Otis or Camden. I just, I was a Texan, self-made man. I learned that I'm not a self-made man. I do better when I collaborate. That's why Otis and I met each other. And so really from that pain point of struggling, right? We'd be lucky to have romaine noodles. To prosperity, we have free resources. Now we're answering, at least asking bigger questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Right? I'd rather be answering those questions with, myself, our clients, my team members, than can you make rent? Mm-hmm. So that's why, in essence, I mean, if we start going deep, that's where the finance.
Well, and I want to stay there in that hole for a second, because there's a bit of self-doubt when you get into that hole. Now, did you feel that self-doubt, or was it I just got to do something, and that was how you overcame it? Can you touch on that some?
At that period, it was like active hours, work more, and it didn't have time to self-doubt. It was just grind, like long commutes, lots of hours, that kind of stuff. More recent, like I started Foresight roughly 9 years ago, when Foresight CFO invented the Growth CFO financial freedom system that's adapted to each client. And I knew that I had a better way, because I started teaching grad school at Georgetown. So I started teaching non-financial mid-career managers financial management. So the process of doing that at Georgetown, I actually created a system. And this is before I created the company. And I realized at the same time, I built and sold another business. It wasn't my business. It was with the CEO, like $127 million, one of the big ones. and I was going to go back and start to look for the next CFO job, and these indicators started coming in. You know how life does sometimes, where Kirk gets hit in the head. There's an underserved part of the market. There's private business owners who have a nice business, great business. They're stuck somewhere. They're uncertain. And that kept coming in. So I started saying, wow, there's an underserved part of the market that could really use the type of know-how that I just created a system at Georgetown on how to not, other people can do it. It's not a financial system, right, for financial managers. It's more about business building. So the business building financial freedom system, and that's when that's when decided to create Foresight and be on this greater path to serve the underserved part of the market, these private business owners who are the backbone of the economy. I keep getting off track. I like talking to you guys so much. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or not.
No, you're all good. You answered that one. Go ahead, Dad. Yeah.
I'm not going to let him off the hook, because work hard is not the answer. I mean, it is a part of the solution. And because there's a lot of folks out there that are in that same spot, right? That they're here, they're scraping it together. Pardon me. They're eating ramen, 6 nights a week, and they get to celebrate when they add beans to their ramen on the 7th night, right? I mean, that's their big Sunday dinner. And they are feeling like they ain't worthy of it. They can't get that other job. They can't do that thing. When you had $200 in your pocket and a baby on the way and a wife that you had to take care of, how did you, step out with the confidence to go do something different?
Yeah, at that point, it was pure adrenaline, right? I wasn't spending time thinking, stepping out. Through my experience, like far as like feeling not worthy, like maybe things are far above me. For me, it was more learning that. But I have blind spots, like like where did that come from, right? These things I was completely unaware of even existed, much less the impact it was going to have on me or the business I was working for, that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure if I ever felt not worthy, but I felt like, dang, I'm starting to realize I'm missing stuff, and it took me a while, and it took me a while to realize I wasn't creating those intimate relationships where I could really collaborate with people about this is the pain I'm feeling, I'm missing this, missing that. So the non-worthy part maybe it manifested in a way where Kirk, go make relationships on the level that you're at and the level that you want to be at, right? And so maybe that's where the non-worthy part didn't fill up, or where it showed up. But I felt it as blind spots, like wham, okay, and you can see it. There's a financial impact, you're right, and not setbacks for 6 months and that kind of stuff in different businesses. So much of it, I don't think there's I think the journey's made to develop us. The fact that we're here doing this, but I don't think there's an easy role. I think the easy button is a really unhealthy thing to look for. And at the same time, I don't think it has to be like like these obstacles, that are just right. A little bit of collaboration, like Otis could share something like, oh, I could actually go left.
Right. And I can imagine, we're talking about back in the day, that long commute. You had a lot of time to think because there's only so many channels on the radio, so you had a lot of time to think about, well, what can I do different? How can I do that? And that I love that piece of getting around the right people. Yeah. That right there. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, our good buddy Jason Miller, this morning about that. And as a matter of fact, I think we even talked about it yesterday too. Being around successful people, you can't help but be successful. Yeah. And that I think is a key piece that a lot of people don't realize. They just stay there in their little circle. They don't look and say, well, what's that guy doing that I happen to know? And how can I learn from him or her and do more of that?
Yeah, to me, that it makes me think so much of just like performance in general, of you have to get exposed in order to find what those blind spots are. Like Kirk, you said, there's no real easy button. You can't try to pre-solve every problem because you're not going to realize it's a problem until you actually start moving on it. It's to use the sports example, you're talking rugby or any sport really, you're going to lose a game at some point. It's better to lose and get exposed early on so you can fix those things. You don't want to go through thinking you have a great team and then all of a sudden you get hit in the mouth and you're like, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do anymore. And the same thing goes for the business side of it. I'd be curious, Kirk, what is like we already said, you can't pre-solve all of those problems. So we know there is an impossible goal to some extent on this. But what's your process for trying to proactively either patch those blind spots, locate them earlier, mitigate the damage when they come up? What's your process there?
Yeah, so like we come in front stage. There's some kind of challenge, like we got turned down from the bank. We don't have cash for the payroll. There could be something really acute like that. More likely, it's something that I just don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know what the right options are. I don't know what the right decision is at the right time, and I'm not confident in my team following through. More or less, there's some kind of challenge in that box. And so we come on front stage. We're focused on that. How do we use experience and data to get clarity and solve that pretty quickly? Then backstage, I say it backstage because anything front stage is taking the time and energy of the business owner. Business owners they only have so much time, so let's focus on one thing that's painful enough where it's less pain to solve the problem than to keep living with the problem. And there's some sense of it's positive and it's safe. Like we're actually going to do this well with various team members. Then backstage, you ask how do we see what's seeable? Diagnostics, right? We literally, from a growth CFO, we're not CMOs, we're not HR people. We work really well with those peers and companies. They're our peers. We want to make them look good. But we come into it from a growth CFO standpoint with kind of a growth CFO lens, which might include data mining, other things. Let's look at how they're acquiring clients. We have a set of diagnostic based on literally hundreds of companies that we can get a few things, points of clarity with the peer and the company, the people environment. Mm-hmm. Are we keeping and growing customers, right? Which is often overlooked. Then there's access to capital. You get the no letter. That's probably something on the balance sheet kind of stuff, or the confidence in the business. Then low financial performance is an obstacle, right? Low profitability. I've got $30 million top line or $5 million top line and 2% on the bottom. Well, what if? What would your household income be if it's 10%, right? And how will we do that, right? And all that. So from a household income standpoint, you have money for the expected and the unexpected. That's freedom. And then running parallel to this, we're establishing the proven habits of profitability, which are, generally speaking, anything on a spreadsheet, most business owners, they don't love it. They don't look for that stuff. It doesn't. They have other skills. Like you start a business, you sell and you deliver. That's what most business owners are really good at for all the right reasons. But there's this complementary skill. Like how do you line up and organize decision making in spreadsheets, rows, and columns, so that the habits, and we're developing their employees on how to use the numbers better with confidence. And it's things like look at the monthly financials like a scoreboard. Even better if we build something in daily. What actions are people taking where they can see if they're on flight or not, and they take action without the need for micromanagement. And then positive cash flow. How do we make sure, I don't know, there's, first of all, let's see week to week, what do we expect coming in and going out 12 weeks out, so that we can, if there's something coming down the pike, we can proactively be on top of it. But also there's traditions like net 30. What law says you have to do net 30? How about prepay? How about that? How about recurring revenue versus project revenue? How about challenge some of these assumptions that we do that? Why am I waiting? If I bill somebody if I tell them net 30, I'm going to see that money net 45, net 60. And I got 3 months of expenses, rent, 6 payrolls. Doesn't make sense, right?
U.S. government net 90. I dealt
90.
with that.
Yeah.
Talk about painful.
That's
Holy
tough.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk
about a lot. I think the banks got something to do with that for those lines of credit. You know what I mean?
We're getting back to those rabbit holes we were in the green room.
Yeah. They get a lot of.
Go ahead, Kirk. Sorry.
Well, it's all that. So we're teaching the habits, but backstage. Because I have yet to meet a business owner. Budgeting is a good infrastructure, a good tool. You can do the what if scenario, figure out how to make the better household income and the profitability, the multi-year financial flight plan. How do you build value in the business? And then how do you build a business that's not dependent on the owner and other people? Those are all great things. And then, fly the plane, the entire crew is doing better.
What's your method, or maybe a little bit of the secret sauce at getting people to work on those kind of more long-term preventative measures? Because what comes to mind is this example we've gotten with a bunch of successful businessmen who have come on, and they all say the same thing on our podcast and on other podcasts, where he's 55 and he's made all this millions of dollars, and he goes, I really should have spent more time with my family. And they try to tell somebody my age or younger that. And we all go, all right, but you didn't. You spent 30 years and then you went back for it. And a lot of people, it's like you have to experience that pain in order to really, address it. So how do you convince them to be proactive with those pain points?
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Because normally once a really acute pain point, they got them off the first step. Once that's solved, the motivation to really, get there, it starts to diminish. It's going back to that guiding light. Like what is my vivid vision of my future self? What am I doing? How do I see it? And the more it's concrete and I can feel it. Who am I with? What am I doing? And we're looking back. How do we get here? Kind of stuff. But that becomes the guiding light, and that becomes a source of motivation because it's really connected to the business owner's purpose. Like why are they here? Then with that, it does get proactive. Well, yeah, I did say it would be nice to actually know my son, right? Before. Because once he's off in the world, the chances of catching up just got a lot less, right?
If the dog and the butterfly song doesn't tug at your heartstrings, then I don't know about that. I don't know
what is that song?
Dog and the butterfly. You mean Cats in the Cradle? That's what comes to mind.
Cats. Yeah,
Cats in the Cradle. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Dog and the Butterfly.
Dog and the Butterfly.
So. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard either song.
Well, it apparently is the same song, but I tell you, you go ask your Mr. Google or Miss Alexa after the show and listen to the song, and we'll put a note in the show notes of whether or not it pulled at your heartstrings. That's what I want. So I knew this was going to happen with having Kirk on the show. We're going to chase rabbits all day long, but I want to bring us back because. What I'd love for you to talk about is what's the number one excuse or impediment that business owners see or use maybe to hiring you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You come in and you're like, hey, I do this, and this, and you fit into my category, and you're like, this dude needs what we do. They need our financial foresight process. And now the business owner is like, nah. What's that nah that they use? What's the excuse or obstacle they have to figuring this out?
It really comes down, and this is a thing for a lot of business owners because we're do-it-yourself people, right? Okay, I need to do the habits. I need to look at my financials. I need to get a 12-week cash forecast, and I need to do a budget as a flight plan to run scenarios. And that's the basic, right? The habits. We ignores the obstacles that fine. But I do it too. Where if I learn a few things and I think I can do it myself, I do it myself. And I probably get rookie results. Right, because I wasn't born to do that, right? So that's what. So the folks who, the CEOs that we get to jump in, and we work month to month. We're not looking for a hostage situation. We want to go all the way to the, succession where they have the family office set up and they're going into the bigger purpose. Even before that they really at this point the freedom are living it, right? But at some extent, to take that first step to jump in where we're on their team, we're accountable. They got to get the sense that they can't do it themselves, or they don't want to do it themselves.
One thing that comes to mind with that is talking about going month to month there. I think a lot of people, could build up a coaching program, whatever you'd want to call it, and put this together and say, look, I can get you these results. You talk about financial results, the impact of those budgets and all those little things. Those add up year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. How do you set it up in a way where you get them going month to month for a 2, 3, 10-year goal? Because that's one of those areas where a lot of people would take the easy route and make them sign a 10-year contract, right?
Yeah. It's the from expectation we set up, what we do this quarter, this 3 months, we work in 90-day sprints, plan, follow through, weekly huddles, so there's a good cadence. And annually there's planning, there's at the end of every quarter, there's a quarterly impact, really accountability. Let's see it, right? Measurable. Are we up, or do we have more people working together, or do we have less, right? So the first 90-day sprint, we get a really good feel for what it's like to work together. Do we walk the walk? And then at the end of that 90-day sprint, there's a quarterly impact, and now we're setting up. There's a next level of clarity. Do we have more? Realistically, you need at least the first 90-day sprint, but it's the benefits of that's going to play out in the next quarter. Like for example, the low-hanging fruit is looking at cost saving is backstage foundation stuff. It needs to be done. You always got to be pruning the tree to make sure the right branches grow, always, because things will naturally, like the federal government, things will naturally, right? So I threw that in there. You got to prune.
I'm resisting the pruning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the government.
Come on.
Just more sprawl, right? But it makes sense. You focus. There may be certain parts of the business, 80-20. 80-20 is powerful. Like 80, you can measure 80-20 in almost anything. What 20% of things do we do for each area of the business that produces 80% of the result? And once you get the concept, you got to do a little bit of mining, a little bit of investigation, data mining, just to see it. But oh my God, because otherwise, short story, like a customer outside of Virginia, talks about he has literally 14,000 customers. Is that kind of business that would have a lot online kind of stuff? And you come to me, the obstacles. I need more customers. You need more customers. Like of all this, the 14,000 are all the same. No, man. When you do the data mining, 80-20, it's really 14% are producing 86% of your profitability. You could literally stop doing at least 80% of the work. You could stop 100%, a lot less effort, and you're making more money, but you don't have the cost for the ones that aren't making money, right? And so now, first of all, the bottom 20%, maybe they're never going to love what you do. Never. There's nothing in charge for this. So maybe refer them to your competition, right? Some in the middle, maybe they can move up and you can do more with them and be remarkable. But what is that top 14%? Who are they? Do you really know who they are? Do you know why they buy from you? Do you really know why they keep coming back? Probably not. We think we know because we like that. Makes us feel good. But maybe do the voice of the client study. We're not growth CFOs. We're not the expert on that, but there are experts who do that, right? So you really get clear on the psychology, who they are, and then start aligning everything we do in the business. How do you bundle products and services for that group? How do you price? Where you can actually do strategic pricing. Probably you're pricing more. Do they really benefit? Why not participate in that benefit to them, right? So you can price more and dollar for dollar, right? That's all profitability, right? And it makes your life better. You can breathe. You can hire the best people. You can take care of your people better. You see how this thing works? Wow. I can actually take care of my people better because I always wanted to do that. And this kind of flow it all the way through. And now the value of your business, if there's a 6x multiple, every dollar of profit, this is round numbers, $1 million of profit, which is a lot. That's a decent business. That's $6 million of additional value for a financial buyer. Then what about a strategic buyer? Mm-hmm. Can you get 12, 18? Probably. Right? And
where's that sweet spot, right? And I'm from the entrepreneur ideation to the $50 million a year in revenue business or larger. Where's that sweet spot? Because I know it's much lower than 50 mil. That that you say, hey, if I come in here now, you don't have to do as much work later, sort of thing?
I was going to add to that. And why is that the sweet spot? I think is the interesting piece
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so let's kind of follow the food. It's definitely for-profit companies, privately owned, where there's a couple of owners, right? 100%. Like nonprofits, that's a different universe, man. They got boards, governance. Don't want to do that. So we have a monthly service for somebody doing like $1 million to $5 million. At $1 million, 9% of companies make it to $1 million. At that point, it's pretty much, it's not necessarily a solopreneur, but a lot is still on the CEO's shoulder, like sell, deliver, manage, that kind of stuff. But there's enough to work with where the monthly service could make sense. And we're doing the same kind of stuff, vivid vision, flight plan. We're just doing it monthly instead of weekly. And there's kind of a black hole between $1 million and $5 million of companies who never make it out of the 5 million plus level. They never develop the sales capability, delivery capability, and support capability beyond. Yes, there's team members, but they haven't developed the business to really perform beyond the owner, so they kind of stay in that zone, which could be fine. I mean, a $2.5 million business, you're taking home $500,000, whatever, $200,000 of income, life is good, fine, right? And that's that kind of stuff. At 5 million, we target. So we have a service for 1 to 5 million. Kind of let's make your life better. Then 5 million to 20 million is a very much a sweet spot, right? Where they do have the capacity. There is some mind share where I can think about, and we don't start, the first conversation is not vivid vision, because like, why? I don't have cash for payroll. Why are you talking about vivid vision? My vivid vision is bankruptcy now, right? So we're not fools, right? We're not consultants that just come in to talk stuff. Let's solve the pain point. And as there's momentum behind that, let's get that guiding light so we know exactly what to do in the business, household income, all that kind of stuff. What role do I take based on my purpose? And there's clients. We have clients as high as 119 million, where we literally do their CFO work, and it's counterintuitive. We have industry standpoint, we're fractional, but when I was and we work in 3-person teams, so there's a growth CFO that's front stage with the business owner. There's kind of a partner level growth CFO who's like that second mind that's coming in at certain points to really make sure we're doing some dynamic thinking. Then we have an accounting and an analysis team member in the background, and there's multiple team members behind them, doing the legwork, doing the 40-hour financial health check to see, is there something there? Like, it could be cost savings, it could be R&D tax credits, found money. There could be internal control weaknesses where your accountant, bookkeeper could put their hand in the cookie jar if they wanted to, right? And maybe we should close that cookie jar, maybe. So we get real clear backstage. The CFO the growth CFO is front stage with the business owner, the leadership team, the managers, helping them look good as a peer, and then having certain chief level conversations with the CEO that focus first on solving that pain point. Then secondly, creating that bigger vision, financial flight plan. You want a business that you can sell for 20 million, and we want to make sure that you're set up for a meaningful life. As you get more income, as you get the big check for succession, you have something you're really going to, and it's motivational, and you're protected. Things are set. It's safe. Your liability is protected or tax optimized. And we're not the expert. Growth CFO are not. Those are very specialized areas, but we'll help you select your success team. And we created a proprietary. In order to work like this, we created a proprietary freedom platform that literally does this. It doesn't do it, but it allows humans to be very clear. And the follow through is good because project management level follow through, like tasks. So the success team on the personal side are all set up because a lot of us know, hey, it's important to have this stuff set up. There's lots of parts to it. It's complicated. I don't quite know what to do. So it kind of, we do parts of it, but not all of it. It's disorganized, and there's not much peace of mind. But our freedom platform, it's a total person success team. When you get the whatever check, and you're financially free, and your time is free, and within that, how do we build the company with that clear flight plan, and that project management level follow through, and measurable objectives down to a daily dashboard for every employee. I mean, so we developed that just because There's no way a growth CFO could do this kind of work. And what I wanted to say is counterintuitive. So I'm kind of painting this picture. When I was a full-time CFO, I put in active hours, man. I did it. I commuted full day, came back when everybody's asleep, kind of thing. I couldn't, as a full-time CFO, I could not do what a Foresight growth CFO does now in 1 day a week. And the second and third team member are doing the second full day per week, so 2 days per week. There's no way I was doing this stuff. No way. The financial operation was good, accounting was good, financial, audit went fine, sure, but that was it. Mm-hmm. Maybe pricing comes up sometimes, maybe compensation comes up sometime, but we're sure in the heck not looking at customer segmentation, right? And as a peer to the marketing person. I want to be very clear. We're not know-it-all. We're very focused on business building and into a life that is this is why you're here. Mm-hmm. Kind of so.
I want to shift gears towards something that I think is really interesting. You know, Dad, we did actually, I think, a whole episode on this when that article came out, but that Wall Street Journal article about MBAs going into businesses and they making these businesses more profitable. But what was really happening was they were essentially getting a bigger piece of the pie. They weren't growing the pie. They looked better, but they weren't actually doing any better. They weren't actually growing the company. I'd love to hear your perspective on that, Kirk, of how people can make sure that they're growing the pie, not just trying to get a bigger slice by cutting costs or things like that.
Okay, so Otis and Camden, don't take this as a plug, but invest on that people side, right? Literally, that's the CEO to invest. There's no way that I could have gotten to the point that I am as a human being by myself. There's no way. There's no way I could have known how to guide multiple guys at different points, different areas. So CEO, make sure you're investing in somebody, you know, a coach, peer group, you know, the tribe. Make sure you're doing it. Make internal people who straight talk, honest, who care about you, you care about them, and then do the same for across team members. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of company you are, warehouse workers, whatever it is, really invest in them. There's solutions where they can get coaching. Imagine being a warehouse worker, a frontline worker of any company, and you have coaching available to you, and it's aligned with what the CEO, you're starting to understand what they're talking about. You do have a role here, you know how your role impacts the whole team and the end customers and stuff. So if you're investing in the people, the who, not how kind of stuff, then and make sure they have whatever it is, the tools, the clarity, then they will figure out how to bring in the right clients. They will figure out how to do that remarkable service. And there'll be times when the ball's dropped somewhere, and they'll see it and they'll pick it up, right? And so that's the investment. You know, not done recklessly, but done in a way that's intentional. See how things, where they land, make adjustments, and that's continuous, right? So I would say that'd be the number one area. If I was choosing between investing in people versus like investing in financial infrastructure, I'd start with the people. I mean, 100%. Now growth CFOs happen to be part of the people team, but if I had to choose between people and the new machine.
Mm-hmm. What's that? I was starting over here, but I need to come back over here. What access to capital is always, and when we touched on this, right? You know, that net 30, net 90 sort of thing. How do you help business owners, that CEO, kind of come to resolve that huge problem that so many of us run into because of, you know, Bob's welding shop. I still got an accounts receivable for Bob's welding shop, and because Bob's welding shop hasn't paid me this month, I can't make payroll. How do you help business owners come to those sort of terms?
Okay, so I think there's two parts of the collection. Like, one is how do you have a company where the bank is taking you out to dinner, where they want you to get a bigger line of credit, versus the one that they just you have a line of credit, they just closed it, or they tell you can't get one, or a term loan, whatever it is, right? Anybody been in that boat besides me? And it's, that boat going, yeah. And when you need it, the banks are the worst, right? So the way we do that, we want to, like from a clarity standpoint, we want to see what the banks see about this company. So we have the same tools that banks use to analyze the company, right? And we know they're looking for like 120% free cash, that kind of stuff. We're using their tool that they use to calculate that. And then you can see where we are. Are we there? Because if we are, the ask got pretty easy. If not, then where are we at? What's the flight plan to get there? Because the balance sheet, income statement closes into the balance sheet. It's you pull different levers to get different outcomes. We got to build a balance sheet where the banks are taking you to dinner, inviting you to the football game, all that kind of stuff. They do that. They do that. They smell money. They're like sharks. They start to circle. So there's something like that. Then there's other sources of money, and please stay away from those. The cabbage, whatever it's called, where 54%. They don't take. It's not interest, but fees. It's 54%. You better be real profitable before you jump into one of those, because it's a death spiral. The first day you get the money, it does feel good. Let's enjoy that day, because after that your problems got worse. Literally, like the next day, right? When you start paying 54% interest, 30%, whatever. It's unreal. There's different types of money. Sometimes you just need to get the business right. Right, that's probably the best thing, because you can. Have I been places where people are pouring money into a business and raising like $5 million of private equity so we can burn it on a $340,000 salary for one person? Yeah, and you can burn as much money, any amount of money. So maybe just fix the business. If you're going to raise money, debt, equity, anything, use. Working capital is one thing. It's just time and difference. That's one thing, okay? But any other kind of cash infusion into the business, use it with that. Make sure you have a business that's working. Don't try to use cash to fix a business that's not working, because all you're going to do is prolong a slow death, right? And it's agony. Now you got all your problems plus debt, or you have investors that are mad at you and making demands of you. Life did not get better, I don't think. So once you have it work, fix what's broke. If I don't know how, I got blind spots. Go collaborate and try things out until you fix what's broke, and then pour money into it when money can actually help you scale to the level that you want to be at for the better household income, the better compensation for your team. You use cash to actually scale what's working, right? Versus I'm going to fix my problem with another $1 million. All I need. And it's an excuse. Cash, it feels good. But his excuse, I couldn't get access to the money I wanted. That's why I couldn't build a business. Really? Mm-hmm. Because you go back to any business success, any business success story. That's not the story. Wasn't unlimited cash coming in, right? That kind of stuff. And then, but phase cash when it makes sense. So that if we answered kind of some thoughts about question number one, we can talk about number two, about when somebody doesn't pay you.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the habits, real good financial practices, you measure things like days sales outstanding. What's the average collections, and how does my average number of days to collect compare to my industry benchmark? That might open my eyes to some things, and then start to challenge tradition. Where, what can I get prepaid? Can I get a deposit? Can I bill every week? Depending on how big. All right. If it's a small payment, $100 a month, we'll just hit the credit card automatically. Don't chase that kind of stuff. And then when you have, we're trying to systemically change the machine, right? Instead of net 30, let me get prepaid, right? Well, right. Then I got cash for payroll and rent, all that kind of stuff. Then on the collections for companies that still have collections, every week, make it real clear. Whatever team has the relationship, just make getting paid normal. And here's another. If the bill amount is big, like on the companies that where I was sending a pretty significant bill to the other party, guess who I called? Mary, I just emailed you the invoice for whatever, $500,000, whatever it is. I just want to make sure you got it. Yeah, Kirk, I got it right here. I'll process it right now, right? And so behavioral modification, back to the smartphones changing your life. The other thing, guess who gets a Christmas basket? It's not the CEO is not going to know that you sent a Christmas basket. They got 50 of them. Guess who never got a Christmas basket ever?
Mary.
The accounts payable person of the company.
Mm-hmm.
You think who sends them a Christmas basket?
Kirk
does.
That is such a good point. I love that because, I talk about this all the time with guys I'm working with that are, transitioning. And it's that you don't have to go to the CEO. You 9 times out of 10, the CEO is not going to reply. But if you can get to somebody who's either a gate guard, whether it's an executive assistant or a direct report, or maybe even a couple of people down, yeah, that's the person that you take out for a coffee or a beer and say, yeah, I mean, that's the same system, right? That accounts payable person.
Yeah.
Ooh, better be your best friend, right?
And let's build on that. I mean, really build intimate relationships based on sincerity, right? And it starts out with Mary and accounts payable. Hey, when we first start out, Mary, what makes it easy for you? How should I show information on the invoice to make your job easier? And I do want to make her job easier, and one of the benefits is I get paid faster. But so I build that relationship, but she is a key person. But same thing, you're talking about reaching out to different people in the company. Be sincere. Go meet them, find out who they are. How did you get to be whatever, the vice president of operations, right? What's that like, right? And find out about who they are in their private life, like literally who they are. How do they see themselves, whatever. And then, those intimate relationship, well, you can really do some remarkable stuff. And then when things go sideways, because sometimes they will, you trust each other. We figure it out.
Yeah.
Now,
one thing you touched on earlier, and we just brushed over it, is the fact that you teach at Georgetown University. No small, it ain't El Paso County Junior College. It's a real place.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because one of the things I'm always fascinated about is what teachers learn from their students. Could you share with us just a couple of things that you've learned standing up there on the podium as you're throwing out your knowledge to the students that they've given you that feedback?
Here's what I learned. Less. Right? Like I started out teaching back in the day, there were 5 habits. Now there's 3 habits, but there are 5 habits. I started out trying to convey all 5 habits. And I really, based on their response, right, they were overwhelmed, like fire hose kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to make CFOs. I'm trying to help business owners and managers, right decision, right options kind of stuff. And so less. And I said, oh my God, I just 1, 2 habits. It's really 1 habit, but there's a part of 2. I can spend a semester on that and it really involved them. Talk to them, their experience. They learned something today. They use it tomorrow. What was that like? Where did it landed? Right? How did it feel when you did this in front of the whatever group kind of stuff? So I learned from them to listen. Less, more feedback, go slow. They get confident in that skill, and they start doing, 5 years later, getting emails and phone calls and stuff. So that it's really that, just kind of watching what's useful and what's not useful.
I love that. I was just going to add that from rugby coaching, that's one of the biggest things I've learned. And it's always like, how much less can you say? How quickly can I explain this? How much can I cut out of it? Because especially when you're talking about college kids, whether it's Georgetown University or some U of A rugby players, might be a little bit of a gap in knowledge there. But still, you still got these really self-starter, excited, knowledgeable people who, when you give them something with an open end, they could probably connect those dots. You don't need to explain every single time how everything goes together. You can leave it open, leave out the other 2 habits. You mentioned you went from 5 to 3 habits. The other 2 habits might be intuitive to them. They might connect those dots themselves. And it's like you have to cut things out in order to see what's intuitive.
Yeah, that's a great example. Here's something that's funny is I started like when my sons went to West Point, and they're at the point where they had, all their friends decided whether to keep going in or get out kind of thing. So I started a mastermind group with a group of these West Point guys. And vivid vision, right? Of course I did that. And this guy comes out, his name is Joseph. He comes out with his vivid vision. It is written so well. So the emotions are there. And at 5:35 a.m. with my family, kind of stuff. He's describing his wife and Maria and 3 kids. I'm like, oh my God, I got to write mine. Right. So I learned from them. The emotions were there. It was so, I mean, you could feel it. I mean, we were there. He's already achieved it at that point in his life, and everything's in the past. So for the brain, it becomes very real. Learning from each other, learning from the students, we're interacting. I think more than ever with the rise of the machine. And I know how this movie ends, AI, that kind of stuff. More than ever, is intimate connection. Have your tribe of few people that you are really close to. This arm-laced business stuff. Don't ask me where I'm from. That's a microaggression. That is a recipe for unhappiness, pain, and failure. Mm-hmm. How about where are you from? Wow, right? Really get to know each other. Mm-hmm. Gigantic companies might be harder because there's politics. You get people involved in politics. The kind of companies I work with are pretty small. I mean, they might have 5 to 50 people. At the high side, 150, right? And at the smaller side, you can really build trust. Build your internal tribe, internal masterminds. Help them. Don't just focus on the business, but what outcomes do they want in their life, and how is being an employee in your business, how is being a team member in your business aligned to what they really want? Then you get that discretional effort. Right, and I don't care what seat they sit in, unlock what aspiration they have for themselves and their families. Then what?
Yeah, that's such great advice, and you touched on something that I think is really important. I want to reemphasize is you don't work with people you don't like. If you're about making relationships and they're about pushing you off an arm distance, well, then go find somebody else. I mean, that's what we do at Tribe and Purpose. We ain't going to work with somebody that doesn't want to have a personal relationship, flat out. Don't even, hey folks, anybody out there listening right now, do not call us. Okay. I'll just say it right now.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have a personal relationship with people you work with, then don't work with us. And if you want to have a personal relationship and you get that stiff arm from somebody, then maybe it's time to find somebody else.
That is great advice, because life is too short not to have like people that you really care about, that you can talk to, you enjoy being with them, and go home. I'm not saying every day has to be utopia. I mean, I'm still waiting for the first day, but I want to go home, and I got 2 Belgian Malinois. I want to see my dog, and my wife is here, my kids are out doing their life kind of stuff. Now I want to have good energy for them, but that's good advice, man. If your job is security, you don't even like having a phone call with a person or meeting with a person, probably either something to resolve, like open up and collaborate with people, and really whatever it is, maybe there's something that I have to learn about myself or them and resolve it, or maybe it's just not the place I should spend most of my life.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great reminder, and it. In what I learned today, it stays right in that same lane. Excuse me. And it is that have a relationship with the business. That's great. A relationship with the client, but who else should you have a relationship with? I love that about the accounts payable person. Holy crap. I probably could have saved a lot of crisis on some the early days of the business. I'll remember this one invoice I sent that was a net 90 company. And I misfilled something out. And they just, instead of paying me, they just put it over in another box and were going to contact me eventually. And it wasn't, I was like, where's that account? I mean, how come I'm not getting that thousands of dollars? Because it was a big chunk. And if I had a personal relationship with that department, maybe not that one person that moved it into the other box, the ain't done right box, they they were based in Fort Worth too, so you can appreciate that. It was an ain't done right box. But maybe she would have called me. Probably would have called me and said, "Hey, Otis." So that is a great lesson. Camden, how about you? What'd you learn?
Yeah, I think this is something we've talked about a bunch, whether you're looking at just from an advertising perspective or any other aspect of the business, talking about, you can't just get cash to solve your problems. I got a real simple way to put it. We always talk about gasoline on the fire, right? Well, you got to build the damn fire before you pour gasoline on it. You just keep pouring gasoline, you're never going to get the fire. It's not going to work. Doesn't matter if you get that loan for millions of dollars and you put millions of dollars of gasoline. If you didn't have a fire in the first place, it's not going to get any bigger.
I love that,
Kirk,
man.
how about you, man?
Cam, I'm gonna
Kirk, what'd you learn?
I'm gonna use, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, Cam, I'm gonna use that. I like the gasoline fire. That's a good one. So when you talked about if there's somebody that you're not jiving with, don't keep jiving. That really hit home. There was a place, a nonprofit, that, oh my God, we were not jiving, and I ended up sacrificing time when I ended up working more, like coming home later, sacrificing seeing my sons, Don and Luke, just to get that plane flying. And if Otis, if I'd have known you back then, you could have said, not going to happen. And I could have said, when you tell me that, it's obvious. Right? But yeah, you're right. So now what? And I could have figured out a better flight plan to be on, because it was I had my kids sit in the car for 2 hours waiting for me, kind of stuff. So wrong. I probably owe him an apology. I'm gonna right. So
it's all right, Don. Don is okay, buddy. Right? You're good with that now, right?
He's gonna need therapy. Dad left me in the car for 2 hours, not by himself. Okay.
That's right. He had his sister with him, right?
Yeah, they were side by side. No worries. So,
oh, Kirk, man, this has been a lot of fun, brother. It is so good to hang out with you anytime, whether we're recording or just chatting. How do folks find you, learn more about what y'all got going on?
The best way, like if you're a business owner and you want to talk about the wheels falling off versus staying on, the best way to contact me is go to my website. It's my name, www.kirkwmclaren, like the car.com. And there's an option if you're a business owner, we can 25 minutes and really kind of talk about your vivid vision, where you're getting slowed down, kind of stuff. Then likewise, my number one thing now is I want to get the word out. There is a better way, and I want to come to events in person, online, kind of thing. On the same website, you can book if you have an event and want to discuss me coming to your event, you can hit that, and I'll come talk to you face to face or whatever. I really do want to get the story out that there's just better. Most of the thing about CFOs, they're the people you don't want to talk to. They're the people I don't want to talk to, and I'm a CFO, right? And for good reason. The profession that tell you no, they don't help you out. They use a language that's not clear, right? And so they pull financials and spreadsheets, and now I'm feeling smart. So this is something. This is a different. I want to evolve. 500 years from now, I want to start the ripple effect now. So that 500 years from now, this profession is different, and they're on freedom. So that's kind of where it's at. But if you're a business owner or you have an event, I'd love to have a conversation.
Awesome. Well, Kirk, like I said, man, it's been great. We really appreciate your time with us today.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much for having me, Otis and Camden. Thank you. I look forward to many more things together over the years.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank you all for listening to today's episode of 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. And a special thanks to our guest, Kirk McLaren, for joining us today. Remember, you can watch full episodes of the show on YouTube at 10X Your Team. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to pass along with other lifelong learners in your tribe so they can enjoy it too. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As always, the full archive of episodes is available at www.10xyourteam.net. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.